Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Lei. Today we'll talk about the National Basketball Association. Former NBA Commissioner David Stern started NBA's relationship with China when he visited there in 1987. In the following year, he signed a deal with China's official TV network CCTV to broadcast NBA games from tape for free. The NBA would share advertising revenue with CCTV, which was very little back then. By 1992, the league had opened an office in Hong Kong. By 2004, the NBA was playing preseason games in China. In 2019, USA Today reported that the NBA's basketball-related annual revenue from China was conservatively estimated at $500 million, based on deals that were public known. The actual number could be higher. Sports Business Journal estimated that NBA China was valued at $5 billion US. The NBA's success in China seems to be a good case study for global business expansion. However, decades later, NBA China's business comes with a price that it cannot afford, gambling with a communist monster at the cost of conscience. In the summer of 2019, Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey tweeted a message in support of the pro-democracy Hong Kong protesters. The Chinese Communist regime protested his tweet by shutting down Brooklyn Nets and LA Lakers preseason games in Shanghai and Shenzhen, stopping the NBA's broadcasts in China, and canceling almost all NBA Chinese sponsorships. The CCP also mobilized its propaganda apparatus to instigate so-called anti-American sentiments amongst Chinese fans. It seemed overwhelming at the time, but it's a typical communist-style show of force through intimidation. The goal was to pressure the NBA to punish Morey, thereby stopping others from speaking out against the CCP in the future. This is a tactic that the CCP has used to get what it wants many times. Sadly, Western elites have failed to recognize the CCP's dirty little game many times. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver apologized to the Chinese regime while condemning Morey's tweet. If you really think about it, are there any Chinese basketball fans who care about what an American executive tweeted in his private life about Hong Kong? No. In fact, if they had known the truth about the Hong Kong people's fight for democracy, they would have all supported Morey's tweet. They would see him as a hero who spoke out for Chinese people's freedom. One thing the Western elites have failed to distinguish is that the CCP doesn't represent its people. Just because the CCP was mad, it doesn't mean that Chinese basketball fans were mad. But the CCP certainly used its propaganda to make it appear as if the Chinese people were upset. This was a trick the CCP has pulled to fool Western elites over and over again. It was later confirmed by the New York Times that some high-level Chinese officials later asked the CCP propaganda department to cool down. The CCP's real concern at the time was that its citizens would find out what Morey tweeted about. They would discover the truth of the Hong Kong people's fight for freedom. Honestly, I was so surprised that none of the lawyers, advisors, and consultants hired by the NBA figured this one out. If you think about it, what Morey tweeted was perfectly normal. It's what a lot of Americans felt and might have expressed. It's his personal opinion and has nothing to do with the league. Why did the NBA bring this on itself? It should have said to the CCP, "Sorry, people have freedom of speech here in America, and we can't tell our people what to say in their private life." And if the CCP pushed back, the NBA only had to say, "Look, you don't want to turn this into a public crisis because if your people find out what Morey tweeted, are you sure that's what you want?" the CCP would have certainly backed down. However, not a single NBA player, coach, or executive publicly defended Morey at the time. Only retired players such as Shaq Oneal publicly spoke out to support him. Morey was criticized by the league for, quote, politicizing his job. The NBA should know that in China, sports are allowed to exist only as a political tool. Author Brooke Lammers said in his book, Operation Yao Ming, that when David Stern first went to China, nobody in the Chinese state apparatus was interested in his NBA because sports in China were not meant for entertainment. They were for showing China's strength and political might to the world. 3 decades later, even though both NBA and the CCP made tons of money, this has not changed. The CCP sees the NBA and its athletes as money-making machines and political tools. It thinks it's doing the NBA a big favor by opening up the Chinese market and letting the NBA make money there. The CCP has never respected the NBA or any athletes, period. In the fall of 2016, the NBA set up one of its 3 Chinese training centers in Xinjiang, a region where the CCP is notorious for holding Uyghurs in concentration camps. The NBA's training center in Xinjiang had about 250 teenagers. In July 2020, ESPN broke the news of alleged child abuse at NBA academies in China. The allegations were brought forward by NBA employees and coaches at the academies. One coach described the training center as a sweat camp for athletes. We were basically working for the Chinese government, one former coach who worked in China said. Corbin Lobert, a strength coach who worked in Xinjiang, said this in a tweet. One of the biggest challenges was not only the discrimination and harassment I faced, but turning a blind eye to the discrimination and harassment that the Uyghur people around me faced. The NBA eventually closed the training center in Xinjiang in the summer of 2020. The Chinese market is big, so big that it's very tempting to many Western businesses. It is also very treacherous, so treacherous that it ultimately tests your conscience. Unless you know you can stand the test and not waver over matters of principle, don't go there because no amount of money is worth losing your conscience. That's all for today. Please let more people see this video, and I thank you. See you next time.